Okay, episode 25, Night of the End. That was a really, really good episode. In terms of I could barely get a word in because it was very dialogue heavy. But I think it was needed because you have all of these characters that have been on opposite sides of each other, and to get them to genuinely work together, you need to air out the differences, because there's always going to be that sort of nagging, thing in the background that is, these people have killed somebody you care about. So I thought it was a really, really meaty episode for that. I feel like I really, really enjoyed Gene in this episode. He's gone up there, he might be on par with Armin for my favourite character right now. I really, really enjoy him. I just think his turnaround... I mean, even to say turnaround isn't really... I don't know. It doesn't feel right when I say that, because I feel like my sort of... my specific turnaround on him was when he joined the Scouts, really. That's when my turnaround on him was. But I feel like just from where he started to where he is now is so drastic and so earned. I really love it. And that goes for a lot of characters, man. But I don't know. I really, really like Gene at the moment. I liked the bit at the beginning there where it was it came in as what could be this offer that he can finally go to the inside and live out the rest of his life, in peace with his his children and grandchildren and whatever, and he'll have a wife, but he can't separate that side of him that that he's basically the person that he's become. Won't allow him to go down that route, to just pass it up. So yeah, I just really but I like the fact that even though it's he's decided to go see Hanji and then he's taught the plan and everything, he still questions it, and he still wants to. It's he wants to be cemented in the path that he's taking before he takes it. You know what I mean? So the fact that he always questions everything, so that he is 100% sure that what he's doing is what he truly believes in, I think is totally his character through and through. I just get a real amazing sense with him as a character that everything that has got to this moment is so earned, and you can recall everything in the past that's led him to that moment. It's kind of similar to Reiner in that regard, but this episode of Gene was almost the focal point of it, you know what I mean? Because he was the kind of the in for the viewer who might be, totally still against this whole idea that they're going to go against Eren. But I think that this episode really put into perspective the idea that no, truly you do have to stop him. But even if Gene is sort of that conduit to that, you still have that moment where Annie and Mikasa square up to each other. I like to say that hasn't gone away. It's still them two, but the idea that they aren't. It isn't just a case of just straight up killing him. They are going to try and communicate with him and trying to stop him from doing it. Now, I said during the reaction, I just don't know how plausible that really is, because I mean, I've talked about this in the previous episodes, that the idea that if they go against him, I don't know how you get away from the fact that you might have to kill him to stop him, because Eren, since the very get-go, has always been so one-track minded in what he wants to do, and even to the whole thing of he wants to kill every last one, right? That meaning the Titans back in season 1, right? When he got information, it changed, right? So there is room for change, but it's still that whole thing of killing every last one is still a part of that focus. It's just a change from the Titans to, well, everyone else. So it's kind of that hasn't changed. So it would have to take something monumental to change his mind. Because it's not going to be as simple as them catch up to him and talk to him, and then it's like, all right, well, yep, I'll do whatever you guys want. It's not, is it? So, you know, I did talk about it in previous episodes, but I think it's going to be more of a case of Eren is just going to be like, no, you know what I mean? You don't understand what you're saying. I feel like Eren's going to have that mentality towards his own friends that he's trying to protect. But, you know, the people who have their heads screwed on at the moment is the rescue squad. So, you know, I think, yeah, I'm totally on board in stopping Eren. It's just going to be a question of how they do it. It could get to the point where it's just like, well, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do. We just have to kill him. But yeah. I like the fact that Mikasa was the one in the talk with Hanji and Jean. That she was the one that came out and go, okay, right, we're doing this, you know. For the first time, she's gone directly against Eren, and also, I feel for the first time she's had a thought of her own. You know what I mean? It hasn't been dictated by anything else other than herself, which I like. You know what I mean? That's some character development there. Because I remember even like back when I was like reacting to season 1, there was a lot of talk about Mikasa and how she's so like, you know, like she's not a great character because she's like, you know, she doesn't do anything for herself, and it's like kind of like a similar with Eren in the one track mind. Like she was just kind of following Eren, so it was kind of like she was just, you know, a sort of like a side on to Eren with amazing abilities and capability. You know, but to actually see her like actually have some thought of her like of her own and go with it and be so like, you know, vindictive with it, I like it. So yeah, I thought it was a really cool opening scene. They didn't even have the opening in this one, and I'm guessing it was to fill in a lot of the talking that was going on. You know, originally when there wasn't an opening, I was like, hold on, is this the finale? Because, you know, you can imagine like in the finale of an episode when you need to cram stuff in to get to the point where you cut it off. But I mean, judging by the way that it's ending, and also there's a preview at the end, so clearly it isn't. I don't know how many episodes are left. So yeah, I'm gonna have to let you tell me how many are left if you guys know. Yeah, and then so we get to the point where they're around the campfire, all of them. You know, you start off, and then you have Jean and McGath kind of going at each other, and again, it's like this whole thing that I've talked about before, about this childish sort of like attitude that, you know, that they have, where it's like, you know, yous are the ones that did it first. It's like it's fun. But I guess it just shows you the sort of like the ignorance that people have if they're involved in a kind of a war or conflict. That, you know, McGath came out and legitimately said, it's like I'm talking to children. But what he doesn't realize is that like he himself is like exactly the same, and that's obviously something that is the like a focal point of the episode, is that they are all the same. They've all committed atrocities to each other, so nobody has the right to you know, to say that something is worse for them than it is for anyone else, you know, which I really liked because of sort of like Yelena's like sort of input on the whole thing, that she was the one actually kind of instigating that whole talk between them and kind of putting them all on a level playing field, which I really liked. You know, and I talked about you know, in the reaction, the sort of framing that was done. That is, again, that this show has is the visual storytelling. I think is just off the chain. That, you know, you don't have to actually say something to get a feel for exactly what the story's trying to tell you, by having the same sort of framing for every character, but only having that one character in the shot, and you're going in between them, you know what I mean? Separating them from everyone else, so it's not a case of like, oh, you have these two that are coupled up, or you have like these three that are part of the same group. It's not about that. It's the idea that you have them separate, because each of them on their own, right? You're basically breaking down all of the you know, the shit that has come before, right? All of the shit that they've been through, all the atrocities that they've committed to each other, all of it needs to be broken down to be built back up so that they can form this group properly as a team. So I really did like the way that it was framed, and having just, you know, the singular characters in those frames I thought was really nice. So yeah, great visual storytelling. What else? Yeah, and then we have the whole thing with Jean and Reiner. That was tense, really tense. And I really liked the... Because this is the thing, like, with Jean and Reiner, you get that sort of... it's kind of like... hard to explain. You get the feeling that everything that has come up to, like, all the way up to this point, that their character is earned, all the way up to this conversation between them involving Marco, right? Which I just think is so indicative of them as characters, that you have, you know, the talk that obviously Yelena does bring up about that whole thing. And this is the first time they're hearing of how Marco died, and it's like, it's got to be hard to listen to, but that's the point. That, you know, Yelena is purposefully, you know, instigating this conversation to break down everything, so nothing is off the table. Everything's on, including what happened to Marco, because that is a part of it. And also, I wonder, I'll be interested to know when Yelena got that information, you know? Like, where did she get it from, I wonder? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, so she obviously instigates that conversation, and obviously, you know, the crew hearing that for the first time is got to be really hard to listen to, but they've got to go through it so they can come together in the end. And you have, you know, Reiner basically take responsibility for the whole thing. He was the one that ordered the whole thing, and the whole thing of like Reiner not stopping talking about it, where he's like, I did it, but then when I saw it happening, I couldn't grasp what the situation was, like why it was happening. So he keeps talking, and Jean's telling him to stop. And I think if you look at it from sort of Jean's point of view, he's saying, stop talking about it because I'm about to lose it here. Like, I'm about to kick the shit out of you. Stop talking about it. And then you've got Reiner, who I think purposefully talks about it because he knows what Jean's about to do, and we know that Reiner is very, you know, he wants to kind of take his comeuppance in a way, so he lets it happen. But that's what I really like about it, is Jean's like telling him to stop because he doesn't want to, you know, he doesn't want to do what he's about to do. And then you've got Reiner, who wants Jean to do it because Reiner feels totally and utterly responsible for it. So I like that dynamic between the two, and it was a really, really tense scene. Like, you know, he's beating the living shit out of him. I've lost count of how many times Reiner, the poor bastard, he gets kicked the living shit out of time and time and time again, man. God, I don't think there's any other character in the show that has been, like, beaten so much than Reiner, you know? God. So yeah, he's beaten the living shit out of him. He gets picked up, and then he goes to kick him. I think he kicked him in the balls. And then he goes to kick him again, and Gabi gets in the way, and then, you know, both Gabi and Falco turn around, basically plead this idea, like, you know, like, please. And I like the, you know, I like that the full turnaround of them, like, knowing that all of this wasn't what it initially set out to be, and they've changed their whole perception of the whole thing. So, you know, it's just about saving and rescuing now. It's not about kind of, you know, going in and invading other people. So yeah, I really like that. I also like the idea that, like, the whole thing that, like, Marco is still playing a part this far on, you know. Obviously it's coming through, like, with Jean, but, like, the whole, like, if you think about it, I like the fact that it was like, what was his last words? Like, did he say anything? and he say we haven't even talked about this, and it rings true so much for obviously that situation of them once enemies around the campfire. It's like to talk about it, right? So I liked the connection there. That, you know, it's for so long that, like, you know, Marco was Marco was really like the only sort of character that was like in that group, you know, like that initial cadet group that didn't make it, you know. I know like there were like other like side characters, but I mean, like, if you think of the group as like a, you know, as like a whole, like if you think about, you know, Eren, Armin, Mikasa, Annie, Jean, Connie, Rainer, Berthold, you know, and Marco, I think that's them all, right? I think so. That, like, you know, you Sasha, of course. Fuck, damn it, man, dude. Oh, I feel fucking horrible for that. Sorry, Sasha. That, like, he was the first battle he never come out of, you know, but he still plays a part this far on. I just really like that. You know, so even just playing a part as a whole in the story of them as a group, but obviously he will always have that impact with Jean, because, you know, that the connection that them two had, and you know, Marco was the first one to be like, you know what I mean, you're a leader here, you know, and like actually bigged like Jean up when Jean was like not even totally convinced of himself. So yeah, I like that Marco's still like he still plays a part. And then we have the, you know, obviously that sort of fight comes to an end, and then you have Levi's only addition to the episode to come up and say that you're also noisy. Like, oh god, in such a tense episode, you've got fucking Levi. God, never change. You never will. But like, I just find it funny. You know, he's like trying to sleep. He's trying to get some kip, and he's got all this commotion around him, and he's just like, fucking hell, man. It's like he can never get any peace. It's so funny. So yeah, I mean, after that, yeah. So you've got Jean, who obviously goes off, and he's got like this thing now where he's trying to almost like, you know, like not listen to things, you know, like clearly obviously like all of the information that he just literally got, like how Marco died and everything, it's like that's tough to take, you know what I mean, you've got to get it out somehow, but yeah, he goes there, and then obviously sitting on it for a night, it's all kind of become clear, and Jean's like, right, okay, that's it, bygones, and now they're fully committed as a team. So they go on their way to the port where the flying vehicle is, the Azumabito flying vehicle. I remember that. It was the thing that was sort of covered in a massive tarp, wasn't it? I remember that being talked about a while back. I think it was back in first half of season 4, I think. So yeah, like that's pretty much the way off. that's the way that they need to be able to catch up to Eren. So it's the only thing that they've really got. But who's got there first but the Jaegerists and fucking Flock. Shit. And he's holding Azumabito hostage. I can't remember her first name. I didn't write it down. So yeah, like, so was she staying there? I thought that they went off. Actually, I don't know, because I seem to recall there was something where like they were staying here to see the rumbling, right? Yeah, so maybe not. Maybe they were just hanging out there. But yeah, regardless, Flock has got her hostage, of course. So this is where they come to a head. The first real battle, where you've got them going up against, you know, themselves in a way. Like, obviously they're the Jaegerists, but really, like, they're their own people that, you know, on Paradis and whatnot. So this is like really the first time they would be going up against them. So yeah. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be tense. I mean, I feel like there's not going to be I just feel like it's going to be tense from here on for the rest of the story, really. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, is there anything else? Anything else that I've missed? I think I've pretty much covered everything there. But like I say, I loved that, you know, Yelena's part to play in this was actually laying out all of their past transgressions, and, you know, and basically like putting it all out on the table, breaking it down, building it up. You know, it just puts them all on a level playing field, and so, you know, you don't have to almost worry going forward that they're not going to be on the same sort of wavelength. The only time I feel like that will end up coming up is with Eren. If you can't get through to him by talking, there's obviously going to be a moment where they will try and take Eren out, and I can see like Mikasa or like, you know, in Armin or whatnot, like just getting involved, like getting in the way, and I feel like that'll be the time where they won't be on the same page. But as of now, they are. So, you know, we'll see what happens going forward. But anyway, yeah, that is all I've got. I loved that, you know, Yelena's part to play in this was actually laying out all of their past transgressions, and, you know, and basically like putting it all out on the table. I loved that, you know, Yelena's part to play in this was actually laying out all of their past transgressions, and, you know, and basically like putting it all out on the table.